This video was released one day early for my Patreon patrons, link in the description. Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of making a horror game from scratch. Today we're going to be diving into the Brain BP, translating a lot of that over to the game instance, then having the game throw out additional ghosts if a ghost happens to die, like from last episode. So something I've reiterated a few times, but we're going to reiterate it one last time, is essentially the idea of the Brain BP that I taught you guys about earlier is being retired. It's before I understood the power of the game instance, and now that I know about the game instance, the Brain BP is basically going to be a bit useless. So what we're going to do is we are going to, one, have the spawn locations and the fact it's spawning a ghost, not just at all do that. But also, we are going to go into the game instance. We're going to make it initialize the tooltip UI from earlier. We can just get rid of everything on event begin play, to be completely honest. And then let's take this initialize tooltip UI. I'm going to hit Control X to cut that. And before I save and compile this, I'm going to move over to blueprints. We're going to go to systems. We're going to go to my game instance. Ooh, check it out, guys. Oh, this is from earlier whenever this, you guys might not have this yet. In fact, I'm going to delete it just because I don't think you do. Anyway, let's go ahead and now paste what we cut from the other one. Now we can initialize the UI from here, which we're actually going to move somewhere else so that way we can start to organize this a bit. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, I'm going to comment it again, and I'm going to say user interface, just in case we need to add additional user interface elements. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it like a, I don't know, kind of purple. Well, wait, that's not purple. Here's purple, and then bring it way up on the value here so it stands out a bit more. So here's our user interface stuff. And just because I'm here and I'm thinking about it, we're also going to go ahead and create a comment for this. We're going to make this player stuff. So basically this big comment, actually hold on, we need an additional comment. So this comment is going to notify everything that the player has changed items. Then we need an additional comment, and this will be player. So this will be player related stuff that we are going to make, I don't know, red. We get a nice bright red, and then everything inside of it will be player related. Let's see here, we have call these functions when you want to add a quadrant to the path and ghost. So this is all the ghost stuff. So I'm going to do another comment, of course. We're going to do ghost, and we'll continue that trend of making all the ghost stuff white just because of color theming. If your game instance wasn't organized, go ahead and take this time to also organize yours. I'm going to save and compile. Actually, hold on, let's take a look here. So as you can see, the problem is essentially we don't have this variable. So what we need to do is on the left-hand side, we just need to add it. We'll go over here and we're going to type in tooltip. What did we call it? Tooltip UI ref, like that. And we need to change the variable type over to tooltip UI, which of course will just be an object reference. We can change the variable type. It'll run a couple things to make sure that nothing breaks. And then when we hit save and compile, it should work now. Perfect. So what do we need to do because of the stuff we just did? So obviously Brain BP, I'm going to save and compile it now that it's empty, which I really didn't need to. I'm going to delete it out of the map. I'm even going to go and I'm just going to delete the Brain BP. Uh-oh, hold on. So we have a couple things still using the Brain BP. So as we continue to remove it from the game, we'll just leave the file here, but of course the file is empty, so we'll just keep it around for now. But what was the Brain BP currently doing? It essentially was looking for this spawner and then spawning a ghost, other than the UI that pops up, of course. So we're going to do something with the spawn location BP that we did with the quadrants. So we're going to go ahead and edit our spawn location BP, which opened up on my side screen here. So let's pull it over, make sure we open up the full blueprint. And do you guys remember what we did with the quadrants? We basically said, hey, we're gonna notify the game instance that we exist because other stuff needs to know that we exist. So we're gonna do the same thing with the spawn location BP. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and create a custom event, and I'm going to call this get the, all one word, I don't know why I spaced it, get game instance ref, like that. We are going to cast to my game instance. You guys have done this. This should be second nature by now. Out of the object, we're gonna get game instance. Also, in the last video, someone wanted to know why my wires and stuff were so straight and organized. I actually mentioned that in a previous video, and I will leave the links down below. They are plugins for the Unreal Engine. They're absolutely unnecessary. I personally love the way they look of them, the way they look. I love how it kind of auto-organizes things, and so I thought they were worth it, but they are not free, but I will link them down below. Anyway, that was a side tangent. Out of the game instance ref, we're going to pull out, and we're going to promote this to a variable. I'm going to update my variable name to the game oh, that's not how you spell that. The game instance ref, like that. And that should be pretty much it for us. So let's go ahead and comment this. Get game instance ref. We're going to hit P and click to get our event begin play. We're going to pull out of that. We're going to do get game instance ref. Of course, if you guys remember, do you know what I'm going to put between here and the begin play? You now have a moment to think about it. That's right, we're going to hold D and we're going to drop that delay. Don't forget, guys, get used to using delays. You don't know which the order the PC is going to load things in, and so this is a very common practice. Usually the loading screen is still up in AAA games, but this stuff does happen all the time. However, now we have our reference to the game instance, so we're going to create a new custom event, and we are going to alert the game instance, just like that. However, before we alert the game instance, what we need to do is go into the game instance file, and we need to create a variable that it can update. So we're going to add a variable, and we're going to call this spawn point. And the type is going to be, if we start typing in spawn point, I gotta go see what it's called. Type in spawn location. You'll see we have spawn location BP. Just go ahead and make that an object reference. If yours is going to have multiple spawn locations, go ahead and right click that so it's an array. We've worked with arrays before 1,000 times. Should be pretty easy to figure out, but I'm just going to do the one for now. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and compile. This has to do with ghosts, so I'm going to drag down my ghost comment like that, and I'm going to create a custom event. The custom event is going to be add spawn point, and what we're going to do on the right hand side in the details panel is we're going to require an input. The input we can just call spawn point, and the type of variable is going to be, just like earlier, spawn location BP object reference, and we will hit save and compile. We are going to pull out spawn point from the variables on the left, and we are going to set the spawn point. We'll plug it in just like that, make a comment around that, and we are going to add potential. Did I spell that right? I hope so. Spawn points. Of course, for us, there's only going to be the one. Let's go ahead and make this white, like our ghosts, our ghosty goos. And we'll go ahead and bring this comment down just about like that. Save, compile, head back to the spawn location BP. And we are going to alert the game instance. So all I'm going to do here is we're going to pull out our game instance ref. We're going to hit get. From the game instance ref, we're going to type in add spawn point. And as you remembered, we added it requires an input. And we're just going to pull out and we're going to say self, like that. So now, whenever we call this, it will add itself to that variable. Like I said, you can do an array. We're not going to for the sake of the video, but you absolutely can. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to comment it, and we are going to add ourself to the game instance spawn point variable, just like that. And this is a very basic blueprint. I'm not going to go crazy with the comments. That should be good enough. And then after the 0.2 seconds, what we'll do is we'll get the game instance ref, and then of course we will alert the game instance of our presence. Ta-da! We'll go ahead and hit save and compile. So now we're over here in the game instance, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to start controlling the level flow. Essentially what we're going to do is say, what do we want to have happen as soon as the player loads in until the level is complete or they lose? And I'm going to do that over here on this right hand side. So we know that we're going to want them to be able to spawn a ghost. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create a custom event, and we're literally just going to make an event called spawn ghost, because we know that when this happens, or we know that this could happen multiple times, so just having an event that we can call is going to make our life a lot easier in other code. So out of spawn ghost, I'm going to do spawn actor from class, and you'll see that we can choose the class and the spawn transform. So what I'm going to do is, right now I'm going to hardwire it, because right now, like obviously if we did ghost, we have the ghost one. Obviously spawning parent ghost is not going to be preferable, but we can spawn ghost one. Essentially what you're going to do at some point, or what we're going to do at some point, is we're just going to make an array of all the ghost types. Then, depending on the level or how we set it, we will pull a random ghost out of that array and plug it into the class. So that way, when we spawn a ghost, it'll always be random. Of course, we can also hardwire it so we always can choose, hey, I want you to spawn this ghost, right? So like, let's say you have a specific way you want the level set up. I want this ghost, and this ghost. We can do that too. But right now, just pretend we're gonna eventually make this an array. But for now, hardwire it straight into class ghost 1, because that's all we have anyway. And luckily for the spawn transform, it's really simple. We're just going to pull out the spawn point that we have. We are going to get world transform. The default scene root is fine. Pull this out so that way we can make this look a little bit nicer here. Plug that right into the spawn transform. And so now anytime we call spawn ghost, it's going to spawn a ghost at the spawn point's world transform, which sets itself. We don't even have to worry about it. Let's go ahead and hit save, compile. I'm gonna grab it, I'm gonna comment it. I'm gonna name this spawn ghost at spawn point's world transform. So this is where things are a little bit weird. If you look on the left-hand side, we have the ghost column, right? And obviously this is straight up spawning a ghost. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to create a bigger comment around this. I'll show you in real time. I'm gonna call this level flow, okay? And level flow is gonna be its own color. Let's just do like green for now. And then what I'll do is, since this is still ghost related, is I will then turn around and still make this white within level flow. So that way the color conventions continue to stay the same. So our eyes can visually see what's going on. But because this is straight up a different category than just, you know, getting the paths and stuff like that, I'm going to put it in this green level flow comment. So let's think about this. We know pretty much on event begin play, we want a ghost to spawn. However, we need to think about how are we going to go about that? How are we going to go about letting the game instance know, hey, do this? Because I want you to notice something. If I hold P and click, notice that I don't get an event begin play. That's because the game instance cannot have event begin plays. So my suggestion for the time being is going to be doing that in the, if we go to our viewport area and then we click on this like graph looking thing and we open the level blueprint, which by the way currently has stuff in it and I need to figure out what's in it because I don't remember what I even put in here because it's been, what, this is episode 17? Anyway, yeah, my suggestion would be to make separate levels for each set of rules that you have. Now there's other ways to go about this. This is one of those situations where there's like a million ways to skin a cat. So there is no right or wrong answer if it works. So my suggestion is going to be what we'll do is for level 1, we will have O1 security office. For level 2, we'll have O2 security office. And essentially, we'll control the level flow with the functions we're creating in the game instance from their individual level blueprints. I hope that makes sense. So luckily, as you can see here, the level let's actually take a look and see what the level blueprint is currently doing. So it's setting something called available ghosts, which essentially this is another way about going with the array idea I had earlier. Is this connected to anything? I'm gonna go look. I'll be right back. So it's connected to our game instance, which has available ghosts, and then it's got like the integer. So I'm thinking that it's probably also connected somewhere else. You guys don't do this, but I'm going to do this really quick and see what kind of issues I have. I'm going to delete my available ghosts here because this isn't the idea we're going with anymore anyway. So I'm going to delete that out, and I'm going to delete this. We're going to hit save and compile, and yeah, we can get rid of that. Save, come on, compile. Yeah, okay, it was basically not connected to anything. So easy enough. We're getting the player ref and we're getting the game instance ref. Two things that the level instance or the level blueprint should be able to get anyway. We are going to add that delay here. And because we have access to the game instance, we can then pull out a get. Let's go ahead and also create a custom event. And we'll just call it start level. And for now, all we're going to do is pull out of the game instance ref and we're going to spawn a ghost. See that? See how we're going to start being able to control level flow really easy? Grab this, create a comment. What to do when the level starts. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a variable. And anytime you create a new level, which what I would do is literally just duplicate the security office. And then if you want to delete the geometry, go for it. But what I would do is duplicate the security office and just rename it. So that way you can go through and like look at these and say, oh, I need to update this, this, and this. So that way this is level 2. It's a bit more challenging. But that was kind of a tangent. For now on the left-hand side, we're actually going to add a variable. And we're going to name this like ghost count. And we're just going to go ahead and make this an integer. So the reason we're creating something called ghost count is we're actually going to create it in the game instance as well. So that way, whenever we start and the game instance enters our level, the level will say, hey, this is how many ghosts we want spawned before the end of this level. Which means we need to go into the game instance and we need to create ghost count. And we also need to set it to an integer. Then, because this has so much to do with level flow, I'm actually going to pull this down. Because this is like the first thing that'll happen. We'll also go to custom event. And we're going to say update. Or you know what? No, not set. Update ghost count. The reason I avoid using the word set is because set is kind of already defined by the Unreal Engine. So whenever you start naming your stuff like set this, well, since the Unreal Engine also uses that terminology, it will eventually get confusing on what you're selecting whenever you're trying to code. So just try to avoid those kinds of words. So what we'll do is we'll update the ghost count. As you know, we're going to need an input in this situation. The input will just be number, and the type will be an integer. We will pull out ghost count, and we will set it, plug it in just like that, create a comment, set amount of ghosts before game ends. This is ghost related. Let's go ahead and do our white color convention here. Save and compile. Also, side note, you might be wondering why I do this instead of just going into another blueprint and doing something like this, like pull this out and type in set ghost count. And then as you can see, it doesn't even need to be a function. We can just straight up control that blueprint's variables. The reason I don't do that is because it is a lot cleaner. It is a lot safer. It's a lot more efficient to have the blueprint update its own stuff. Just tell the blueprint, hey, update your variable, instead of having another blueprint come in and change it for it. It might seem silly, but trust me, it's a much safer, efficient option to do this. So back over into our level BP, we have start level. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to expand this comment. I'm going to make it purple because it's like system based. I don't know why, I just kind of imagine purple when I think about like systems. So we're going to make it purple, and instead of spawning a ghost immediately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first update ghost count like that. Plug that in there. Let's make this a little bigger. Maybe pull game ref down just so it looks a little bit nicer. And then we will take our ghost count, plug it into the number. So now anytime you make a new level, you'll want to duplicate the current level that we have. And you'll come in here and you're basically going to be able to configure how the level works from this blueprint. So you're going to say, hey, at the start of the level, we want to go ahead and let's expand this actually from the event begin play before I forget to do it. Start level. Yay. You're going to go ahead and get these things, and then you'll start your level. And now not only will you spawn a ghost immediately, but if you make a new level, you can change how many ghosts the player needs to deal with before the level ends. Let's go ahead and set this to something simple like 3. I don't know, 3. And then we'll hit save and compile. And you can see how a mixture of the level blueprint with the game instance, we're going to be able to control how long levels are, things of that nature. So basically, within the game instance, we have all the information we need in order to spawn and kill a total of 3 ghosts. However, we need to take a look and see how our parent ghost is updating the game instance that the ghost has died. So as you can see right now, we're not doing anything. We're literally just destroying the actor. So in your ghost parent, go ahead and deselect this. What we're going to do is we are actually going to remove active ghost, and then we are going to destroy the actor. Let's go ahead and comment this. What happens when the ghost dies? And of course, we'll set this to white. Save and compile. So the reason we are going to go ahead and just call the remove active ghost is because within our game instance, as you can see, this is going to be called anytime a ghost dies, essentially. So I'm going to expand this comment out. We're going to expand this comment out, and then we're going to expand this comment out. Trust me, I know that dealing with comments, unfortunately, can be a hassle, but whenever you can zoom out and actually see what you're going to and doing on bigger projects, it is well worth it. So we've removed a ghost has died. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the ghost count, okay? And the first thing we're going to do with it is say, hey, does this equal 0? Because if it equals 0, then we want to do something different than if it's greater than 0. In fact, I'm going to have to zoom out and make even more space. Ugh, oh goodness. Being organized, so much extra work, but it's so worth it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, does it equal 0? And we are going to plug that into a branch by holding B and clicking on it. Now here's the thing, if it does equal 0, right, we're going to need like a bunch of different logic to end the level. But if it does not equal 0, then we need to, 1, let's go ahead and pull out ghost count and hit get again. We're going to pull out and say minus, which I think is one subtract. Yeah, but you can type in minus or subtract. Both work. We're going to subtract 1 from it. Actually, check it out. I just realized that is backwards. We don't want to check if it's 0 first. The first thing we want to do is remove the ghost because it died. So we want to subtract 1. Pull this out. Then we want to set the ghost count. Plug this in. So a ghost was removed. We subtract 1. We set the ghost count to the new number. Then we check and see, hey, which actually means we can get rid of this variable reference and plug this straight into the top here. Hey, does it officially equal 0 Then we can do some logic. I'm gonna grab these three just for the sake of space and pull them back a little bit. Let's grab this, pull it back a little bit. But obviously, no, it doesn't equal 0. So we need to spawn another ghost. So, no, spawn a ghost. And now, with how this logic is set up, the level starts, the level tells the game, hey, we're gonna do 3 ghosts, okay? And then it goes, okay, and it spawns a ghost. And then, whenever a ghost dies, it'll go, hey, ghost died. Subtract 1 from how many we're killing and double check that we still need to spawn 1. And if we do, get another ghost out there and it will spawn another ghost. Now, obviously, you might want to consider if we want multiple ghosts active at once and things of that nature. But let's go ahead and test what we just set up. Let's go ahead and hit save. Let's go ahead and hit compile. And actually, one last thing before we test, let's make sure the player has their user interface. Because if you remember in the game instance, we put in, where is it? Yeah, we put the tooltip in here. And then we never call this. So as of right now, they're never getting their user interface. So I'm actually going to do that in the level BP as well. And the reason I do this in the level BP is because if we're on a main menu, we don't want certain UI elements to pop up. So therefore, I just go ahead and put all the code in the game instance, but then have the UI pop up on a level to level basis. Pull this down because it's kind of one of these like refy things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a custom event that says create UI. Now we already have the code in the game instance, so we can pull that out and do git. And then what is it called? Let's go check that out really quick. Game instance, it's called initialize tooltip UI. That makes sense. Back to the level blueprint, pull out from here, and we're going to initialize the tooltip UI and create a comment. Give the player their UI. And because this is a level we want the UI on, we will add that to right before start level. We will go ahead and create UI like that, plug it all in. And now when we hit the play test, not only should our UI be present, but a ghost should spawn roughly 1 second after the level loads. And then if we kill it, we should have to kill a total of 3. And then they'll stop spawning if everything is working appropriately. So first things first, let's go ahead and hit play. Let's walk up to the TV. Notice I'm not getting my UI, so that's something we're gonna have to look at. But are we getting ghosts? Okay, we have a ghost. I think I put it on, what, T or something? Yep, 1 ghost down. Ghost number 2, T, boosh. All right, and there's ghost number 3, and doosh. And now we don't have another ghost. So we have started to control the level flow using the game instance. However, let's double check and see why we're not getting any UI elements. Well, I think the Unreal Engine is trying to tell me something. It accessed none trying to read property brainref. Okay, so we need to figure out why brainref is still involved. Apparently in the BP first person character, it was updating the tooltip. Oh, yeah. So basically, instead of this, just watch this. We're going to delete the brain ref from this. We're going to pull out the game instance ref and plug it. Oh, it's not going to let me. It's the same thing. Just delete that. Out of the game instance ref, type in git tooltip UI ref. Plug that in there. And hit save and compile. And that should... Oh, no, that doesn't fix it. Check it. We got one more to fix here. Let's go ahead and delete those out. Copy this, paste, plug that in there. Save, compile, and let's double check it. Go ahead and hit the play button. There we go. Now we have the UI popping up. So we know that it pops up there, should pop up on the door, perfect. We have our ghost, we've killed the ghost, and another spawns. Perfect. Hell yeah. I hope you guys are feeling good, because if you've made it this far in the series, you've learned a lot. We've done a lot. I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.